Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, today we're going to keep continuing working on our code that we have. But for those who have headless Raspberry Pis, who use a VNC server, with the latest update, VNC is automatically disabled. You have to physically either have to manually start the VNC server, or you have to go in and modify one of the scripts. Well, that can be a little tedious, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But we can achieve the same thing by making a Ruby script to run at boot that will automatically start up a VNC server. And it's fairly easy. Just open up our project folder, create an empty file. We'll call this one VNC start.rb. So here we have our script. Let's go ahead and open it up. And to do this, it will only take one line. Now we can do the backticks type VNC server, because that's what I use. We can do it just like that. That will work. But we want to have some output showing that it's working. So if you don't want to use the backticks, if you want a little bit more information knowing that your server will start up, you can do the system type VNC server, just like that. Save it. If you're using real VNC, the same. This is the command to start up your VNC server. Depending on what server you're using, depends on what you put here. So if you're using type VNC server like I am, it would be just like this. If you're using real VNC, I believe it's real VNC server instead of what's listed here. But you can look on what command will start it, and that's what you want to put there. Exit out, and just like with our other program, you want to put it into your home Pi folder, paste, show hidden, and then simply add it to your bash aliases file right here. Just like with our other scripts, under here, Ruby VNC start.rb, and that's it. And save it. It'll open right up. Now I'm not going to open it because I don't want to mess up with the VNC server that I'm already running. I'm on the VNC server right now, so I'm not going to try to mess up my computer while trying to do this tutorial by running another VNC off of a VNC. So that's all you have to do. That's it. If you don't have a bash.aliases file, you create one. It's not that hard. You do have an RC local by default. With RC local, what that file does is will help you run your scripts or your programs or anything you want as soon as the Pi gets done with the bootstrap and the post screen. And we'll go into where it goes into the second level in Linux. Where anyways, it's where you go to physically log in. Now, if you have your Pi set up to where you have to put in the username and password, after you put in the username and password, your script will start up. If you have it set up to where it logs in automatically, your script will start up as soon as the Pi logs in to the user. All you have to do. So once that's set up here, all you have to do is save your modification. I'm not doing it here because I don't want to mess up my system because of my current setup. But that's how easy it is. You don't have to go in and find the bash file and do all of this, that, and the other. All you have to do is just make a Ruby script. Again, I'll show you the code one more time. And then system, and then the command to start it up. So every time you reboot, it will go right into it. Now, keep in mind that when you open up a server, it will automatically load into this. So we'll have to change it a little bit once you go into to where it will not load the script after it runs, which I'll get into in a little bit later, on a little bit later date. But for basic headless pies, this method will work for your average use as long as you're not trying to tinker around in the terminal. You're good. I do have to look into a little bit more there. I'm still working on having it to where this will not load here. You can more probably use this in the RC local method instead of using the bash.alias method, which will probably be the better way to go, but still do a little bit of research on that. I'm not too familiar with working on the RC local file. I know I was tried working with it when I was experimenting, working with auto-loading scripts. But I'm pretty sure that RC local might be a little better. Do your research on your own, and it might be a little better idea to start up your VNC script with RC local other than the bash.aliases. But I just wanted to show you that, just to show you how easy Ruby is. Going to our main project for this lesson, we'll open up our command script, and we're going to refine our commands a little better. Now, we talked a little bit about variables. Now we're going to talk about constants. Constants in Ruby always have the first letter capitalized. If you remember me talking about when you go to make your class or a module, you always want to capitalize the name of it. Well, that's because your class is an object, and an object is always a constant. It is not a variable. Inside it, you can put your variables in, and then you can also link it to a constant. So this right here is a constant. This is a constant. This would be a variable. So when we're working with our constants, we want to make sure that we capitalize the first letter of the name of the constant. Now, why do I have it set up like this? Well, if we put it into a class, the constant will be associated to that class itself. It will only be localized in that class. We can also do the module method, which would also make it a global class or a superclass that would work in everything, but instead of having to do all that, we can leave it outside just like that. That makes it global to anything this script is attached to. So to show you how this works, and the reason why we did it this way, so when we go to open up our terminal and to go into our Ruby shell, instead of having to use the $sign to represent the global variable and use the update.call, instead of doing it that way, we can just go update.call. Because if you look here, update is a procedure, and if we go check our global variable of update, so you can see it's still linked because our constant update is equal to our global variable of update. So all we have to do, instead of having to do this all the time, all we have to do instead of calling our global variable is just use our constant update.call. So we can refine this better to this. Now you can have it to the method to where you just use a constant instead of using a global variable in the class. All you have to do is link your procedure here instead of calling a global variable and attaching it to a constant. It's a little bit better practice to do it this way, just because once you have a global variable, you can use it just about anywhere by calling it. You don't have to keep doing this, and you don't have to keep putting the same code in over and over. The thing with Ruby is you don't want to have to repeat yourself in your code. You don't want to have to code something twice. Once you have something working correctly, you want to be able to just associate or call what you programmed up into whatever you're working on. So you don't have to keep in the other scripts, you don't have to keep doing this every single time and over and over and over. All you have to do is require your script that you want to associate with your one that you're working with, and that gives you everything that is in that script to your disposal. So we can come in and we can make all of our constants equals start x Now we can also do it this way. Make this into a string plus update. So when you go to run the update, what we call your update constant, it will run both of those global variables. That needs to be capitalized equals and there we have it. So what else do we want to make? Well, today we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to start working with our directory trees. So down here we're going to go ahead and make a new class. By the way, I haven't gotten into this. When you're writing your code, it's good to make comments. Now, how do you make a comment? Well, we want to use the pound sign. Anything that's under a pound sign is automatically considered a comment. That line would not be read as code. So this is a comment to help me remember what my code is. And how it works. So with your comments, not only can we section and break our code into sections that we can read, or we will do it this way. Make it kind of nice. So let's go ahead and make a comment about what the class my command does. This makes global variables to call to run Linux commands. And it's always good practice to make comments and to separate your code out. in manners like this. That way you can keep everything organized, and if you have to debug something later on down the road, or add something or update it, you don't have to sit there and tinker around with your code trying to remember how you made it work. Global constants. Linking to global variable commands. So it's very nice to do, and just to show you, anything that's a comment will not be, yeah, I know. By the way, this errors because we have a class with no end here and it doesn't have a name, so don't worry about that. As anything that's commented will not be read by the Ruby interpreter, and that goes with all your other languages. When you make a comment in any type of programming language, it is null and void, invisible to the interpreter, and it's only there for human interaction. So to go back to what we're doing, we're going to make a new class, and we're going to call this my directory, and we'll just go ahead and call it my directory commands. So basically we're going to do the same thing with our global variables and our procedures that we did in our my command class, but instead of doing it to where we work with system commands to load different things or do different things, what we're going to do is our global variables, we're going to set to where it changes the directory that we want to, that we call. For example, if we're going to make a global variable called home. The home is equal to procedure dir.ch dir procedure directory.change directory. This is purely Ruby syntax. In our brackets here, we're going to put in our directory tree. So in this syntax, we want to make sure that we use our quotations, and we're going to go home pi in our quotations, and then we're going to end our brackets, our block code there. And that's how easy it is. Just make sure that it works. We're going to save, open up a new terminal. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to end it. Let's see. Undefined method. Okay. Here. So we'll take out plus sign and we'll actually put in a semicolon, because a semicolon breaks up your code structure. So this should work now. Oh, there we go. So after it gets done updating, it will automatically do the update call. So to check our home procedure, we're going to type in our global variable home. So we can see here that our procedure is stored, is working properly. So we go call our global variable of home, dir sh file entry procedure from change dir home.py. Home dot call. No such file or directory. Oh. Ha 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 ha. I see what I did. I don't want a piece of pie, I want 3.14. Now we do it. There we go. So it comes back with a 0, which means everything's working well. But how can we add on to this more? How can we say, okay, we are in this directory without having to keep going dir.pwd all the time? So in our code block, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to break this up with a colon, and then we're going to add puts dir.pwd. And with this, when we go to call our home global variable, it will print out home.py. If we want to make it a little fancier, we can go add a little message, close it out, and then we can add the plus sign here. That should be the correct syntax. Yep. Call. See, now you're in home.py. Now notice that there's not a break right there. In order to fix easy fix, just add a space after the end. Home.call. Make sure everything's working the way we want it to. You are now in home.py nil. So if we go dir.pwd, it will show that we are in home.py. Simple, right? So now all we gotta do is come here. We can copy this and make this a little easier. Actually, you know what? We'll make a comment to add more. Global commands use, and then we go name. Oh. Yeah, we'll call it name equals procedure r.chdr, then path name are now in puts, you are now in plus dir.pwd. Then close it out. So now all you have to do, seeing how we now have a template in our comments, just come down, select it, copy, paste, 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 and you can keep adding as many as you want. Just like that. Makes it a lot easier than having to hand code all of this. But let's go ahead and make some more. We'll delete all those. Okay. Our name, we'll change this to desktop. And we'll add home py desktop. Come down, do it again. Let's make this into documents. Home py documents. Do it again, and we'll do this one as our project file that we're working on during these tutorials. So we'll call this Ruby projects. Why do I have those? There we go. And then here you're going to add the path name to where you have your Ruby projects stored at. So mine's on my desktop, so home pi desktop, and then come here, location, home pi desktop folder. So home pi desktop Ruby projects. So if you have yours stored in documents, it'd be the same as this with this at the end of it. Pretty simple, right? Alright, now that we have that done, and you can add as many as you want, take as many, you can change this to how you see fit. Now that class is done, we'll come down and we'll make our constants, so we don't have to keep using the $sign to call our global variable. So home equals home desktop equals desktop That's simple. Let's debug our code, make sure everything is working properly. No errors, so let's go to check out our home. Our variable, global variable procedure. Now if we type in our constant, we should get the same thing back. Check. Oh. Lowercase the document said is a variable. Just to show you this, so we have home's working right, desktop is working right. Now let's type in documents the way that we have it set up. Undefined local variable method documents. So we need to make sure that we are making constants here and not a variable. Let's try that again. If I can spell. Did I spell it right? Large constant. Okay. Procedure. That's working. Okay. That's working. Let's check out, see what we got messed up here. You know what? We'll just copy that and paste it just to make sure our code is right. Save. There we go. But that's how easy it is. So now all we have to do is go back and call it up. We are now in our documents folder. And to double check it, dir.pwd, no, dir.pwd. So if we go to, we're in our documents, let's switch to our desktop. Call. We are now in home pi desktop. dir.pwd. There we go. That's how easy it is. The next tutorial we'll get into how to create directories or folders in Ruby, how to destroy them, how to move them, as well as how to start working with files. But that's how we can make our own commands within our scripts to do what we want. So instead of having to keep going cd, like in bash, with the bash version, cd home pi desktop all the time in order to get into what we want, in the Ruby shell all we have to do is call our command, our constant command of what we want to do. So just like home.call, home.call. Pretty much easy to do. Well, I hope this helps you out. Again, play with the code a little bit, do a little research, and make it unique to yourself. You don't have to do it exactly like I have. There's other variations on how to achieve the same goal. But this is the easiest way, easy concept to understand on how this process works. And with that, we will end this tutorial, and I will see you guys at the next one. Till then, happy coding.